if the discussions about the administration, what economists are saying, tariffs, trigger you emotionally, you're not doing your job as a professional.
If you're not getting educated about local and national real estate news, market conditions, federal policy about tariffs,
you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. I'm Tom Toole, here with Lisa Chinatti and Byron Lazine, and we are going to be talking about the jobs report that just came out. We're going to break that down for a lot of people in ways you can understand and then communicate with data to your clients. We've got tariff news, what it's done to mortgage rates. We have Matt Ishbia from United Wholesale Mortgage taking a huge dump all over the Rocket acquisition of Mr. Cooper. And then Lisa brought this amazing survey to the table from Adapting to Change from Redfin's website. And there's a lot of stuff you want to pay attention to in there if you want to have a killer second quarter. So, Lisa and Byron, let's start with the jobs report. And I know the answer to this. I also know a lot of real estate agents and listeners do not know the answer to this. So, Byron, we saw that U.S. payrolls, they rose by 228,000. There was 228,000 jobs added, which was way better than the estimate from the Dow Jones of 140,000. But unemployment increased to 4.2%. How is that possible for someone just looking at this? I know consumers are asking. I know agents are asking. Byron, break it down for them.
Yeah, I mean, the unemployment rate just simply is calculated by how many people are actually in the or entering the workforce. So when more people enter the workforce looking for a job that don't currently have one, that rate can go up. The fact that payrolls rose 228,000 up from the revised level in February and Dow Jones estimate I think was 140,000, comes in at 228, shows you that even though we go up to 4.2 on unemployment, that relatively speaking this job number is pretty strong. So don't have a lot of concerns there. Like Logan Mohtashami, who we had on the pod last week, always says watch labor over inflation.
Mm-hmm.
When in relation to the Fed and what Jerome Powell and the decisions that the Fed are going to do on cutting the rates, he says, watch labor. So, this is, even though we get up to 4.2, this is a pretty strong report. So you're probably not going to move the Fed on this jobs report. Fed's probably going to get moved a little bit more on the uncertainty that's happening with tariffs, which I know obviously we'll get into that. But that's how you have that increase there on unemployment at 4.2. And that's what we thought maybe this year could be what pushes rates down. I mean, I don't know about you. We've been in a real estate recession for 2.5 years. I kind of like where the rates are at. I know we're going to have this tariff discussion, but seeing where that Logan said to us, and this was just a week ago, like, I don't know, his barrier was 4.15 to 4.18. Like, we got to break through that on the 10-year to be in the 3.9s. He doesn't see, his projection at the beginning of the year on the 10-year was maybe we get as low as 3.8. So we're at the very bottom of his projection. We could break through his low level of 3.8 on the 10-year. This uncertainty is playing into the hands of the real estate market. We thought maybe it would come from jobs. It's not, still pretty strong right now. There's obviously people that think that nobody knows what's going to happen with tariffs, but there's people that think that you could have some job loss. So far, not seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And unemployment 4.2, a little bit elevated, but not going to help us enough with the Fed. It might be the tariffs that help us more than anything. And I'll just say one more thing about the Fed. Tom, I know you track the CME Group. For the first time in weeks, we've actually, months really, we've seen the CME Group actually today with, everything that's going on with the markets, increase up over 20% chance of next meeting the Fed doing a cut. I think it was at about 25%.
So it's at 42.3 right now.
It's at 40. So it's rapidly moving up. That was like at 5 a.m. I looked, it was 25%. So 40% plus. So, that's all tariffs. It's not, maybe the 4.2 on unemployment bumps it up a little bit, but I don't know, with the 228 jobs, I don't think that's the case, but maybe they may be looking deeper into the jobs. I'm just looking at the surface and explaining how kind of unemployment can move up when you still have 228,000 increase on jobs more than expected. But Lisa, your thoughts on the I guess the jobs?
I haven't read it in detail yet, but I think it's kind of the same thing. I think one of the things that we always talk about is that it's the starting number. It'll likely be adjusted down a little bit. And I can't have an opinion further than that because I haven't read it in detail yet.
The administration
Thanks for
said
doing
in
the prep
all,
work, Lisa. That's great.
the administration said in all caps, that President Trump said in all caps, like he's a 1980s realtor on the MLS. Great job numbers, far better than expected. It's already working. Hang tough. We can't lose. Listen, to me, these job numbers, he's going to take any win he can get with where the stock market is, I guess, and tweet it out on Truth Social. But these job numbers are going to be, they're reflective of the rear view mirror. All of these jobs happened before tariffs the last couple of days. So, that's kind of funny numbers. There's a lot of funny numbers going on right now. And there's a lot of all of a sudden tariff experts. I never knew how many people were tariff experts. We haven't seen tariffs in 100 years. So I didn't know that there were so many people that have studied this for decades. I know, I honestly think Trump's the only person that's been talking about it since the 80s. I played that clip of him on Oprah on the hot sheet.
Was that real or was that AI? I've got to.
No, that's 100.
Okay,
no,
I'm asking.
I
see this stuff and you don't know, so I just want to make sure. That was a great.
That's
clip.
100% real. He's on Oprah. He's talking about his thoughts. Other countries ripping us off. Listen, I also said something on hot sheet that I'm going to say here on Knowledge Brokers. If the discussions about the administration, what economists are saying, tariffs, trigger you emotionally, you're not doing your job as a professional, as an agent. People are even economists are doing it. They're pulling politics into this discussion so much. That's why I'm not really listening to economists, because if you listen to an economist on Fox News, they've got one way to look at tariffs. If you listen to an economist on CNN, they've got a whole nother way to look at tariffs. Neither of them know. Quite frankly, I don't want to listen to economists anyways. It's like listening to a Yale professor talk about business. They've never built one. An economist has never done it. They've never built anything. They're just theorizing on it. So I don't typically want to talk to I want to talk to the smart economists, like Danielle Hale at Realtor.com, who doesn't play politics. She gets on this pod and she keeps it down the middle. And she said, listen, we don't really know what's going to happen. But for the agents, I played this clip on the hot sheet about.
Can we play it now? Can we hear it again? I didn't hear it.
I don't know if Haley, do you have that clip of Nick Wright Nick Wright writes on a sports show. I'll just tell you what it was. Do you know the sports show on FS1, Tom? Nick Wright.
I know who he is. Yeah.
Well, why do you ask Tom if he knows a sports show, but you don't ask me?
I'm a savage sports fan, Lisa.
Was that a misogynistic comment, Lisa?
I'm just gonna say.
I think
Lisa,
I am the biggest sports fan on the.
You don't even own a TV, okay? You don't own a TV, so how are you gonna see?
No, she does. She does own
amazing.
TVs, but they are very small televisions, Byron. They are way too small. I told Steve that. You got to have a minimum of a 70-inch television in your house these days, and Lisa's got like these 42s. She probably got them off the truck at like Costco. So,
listen, I know for sure. In the gym, I guess you could have saw the clip on YouTube because that's where I saw it. But I'm listening to some sports talk in the gym. I know you're not. Okay, that's why I asked Tom.
Yeah, I am a savage sports fan. I don't give Byron a break here. All right, Nick Wright. This guy is a clown, by the way, and he hated on the Eagles. Let's go, Bird.
The timestamp's 13 minutes 40 seconds. Don't ask me how I remember that. I think that's
super fascinating, and because the reason, and this probably won't shock the audience at all, I think I'd be a great contract negotiator. I think I'd be literally elite at it.
Wow.
The reason
would you be as elite at it with your own money?
No, so that's what I was going to say. The reason I have an agent for myself is because I do not have the ability to not take things personally. You know what I mean? Like all of it would wound me or hurt me. I'd get angry, all of it. The whole idea of the agent business is take the personal out of it. It's a business, be dispassionate. Jerry, the problem with
so what he's talking about is
I know what he's
negotiation
talking about
with
Jerry Jones
for the audience
and Micah
for
Parsons.
the audience and for Lisa who didn't see the clip or doesn't know what to talk. Yeah, Micah Parsons, he's a defensive player for the Cowboys. He's probably
Future
going to get the
Eagle.
biggest non-quarterback contract in the league if this negotiation comes together. Is negotiating with the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, obviously Jerry Jones. Okay. And Jerry Jones made a comment about the agent and whatever. So that's the background story. But what Nick Wright, the sports commentator, said is true in our business. He's talking about the agent business. He's talking about his own, he could negotiate his deal with Fox Sports personally, but he hires his own agent, even though he says and thinks he could be some expert negotiator. He says, I hire an agent to do it. Why? Because agents are supposed to be the ones that take emotions out of it, personal bias out of it. And so when we're listening or having a discussion like we are right now about these economic conditions that are being impacted by policy or administrations, take your political biases and emotions out of it. The same way we're supposed to do when we have a listing agent on the other side. We're trying to represent our buyer. The listing agent, you can't get a hold of them. They're unaccountable, or they're being an emotional wreck, or your clients are being an emotion. You're supposed to absorb those emotions and not feel it. Listen, you don't like that? You signed up for the wrong deal. That's the job of the agent. And it's one of the main reasons I'll say that agents will always have a job and always have a place. Because if you're good at that, if you can take emotions out, not get triggered by a little tariff talk, you're going to be okay, and you're going to be able to answer the questions and take the emotions out of it. So I paraphrase. That was my PSA on the hot sheet. That'll be my PSA here as we get into the tariffs. So, I mean, the headline, good for rates. But Tom, what's your thoughts on tariffs?
There's a strategy here, and this is more about sales skills and understanding the job, Byron. You're absolutely right, because we've heard crazy things come out of Washington and politics all the time, right? I mean, we went through a COVID pandemic shutdown. We went through banks getting bailed out. So we actually covered this yesterday at our team meeting, and credit to Brian, our sales manager. So we came up with the sales process, because what happens with most agents is they just want to get right to the closing. Right? Is that fair to say? They want to talk to them, write an offer, settle. That ain't how it works. There's a lot of things that go on. And so we broke down the sales cycle from every different bucket that exists. You guys are probably familiar with this with using your CRM. That's how we tried to template it for people. And the key strategies were two. There was two of them here, and I think everyone should pay attention to this. One is, you can't jump the steps. Some people are going to go through faster. Some people are going to go through slower. So tariff talk might slow people down. Okay, well, if you've got compassion and you've got data to back it up, and you know how to explain these things, and you understand what the motivation is, they'll move forward eventually. If they're serious about it. Some people aren't. That's just how it goes. So instead of trying to get all the way to the closing or the offer writing, think about, how can I go from talking to them to meeting them? How can I go from meeting them to meeting them a second time, right? How do I work them through the funnel one step at a time? And then you got to celebrate those wins. I know you two feel this way. Lisa and Byron and I are in this group text. Lisa will text us constantly when she's setting appointments. I set 3 appointments today. Hell yeah. Doesn't mean you're going to sign them all. It means you're going to meet with them, hopefully. And at least I got that appointment set. You got to celebrate that progression through the funnel. The second step here is detaching from the outcome, which is what Byron's talking about. The best agents I've seen, including my mentor and a lot of other people, they detach from the outcome. They know that their activities and what they're doing are eventually going to help people. But you think about, Lisa, you're showing a house. Can you control if the person's going to like the house or not?
Nope.
Can you control if they might lose their job while they're under contract and get declined for a mortgage? Can you control the tariffs, right? So you can't. And this is the emotional roller coaster that Byron's talking about. People are up and down all the time. Well, the best agents, and this is what Nick Wright's talking about, they're like assassins, right? They absorb the emotion. They try to keep everyone moving forward. So those two strategies, moving one step at a time and celebrating that, because that's what you got to do to win, and also detaching from the outcome, that's going to be how you can deal with tariffs and all this other stuff, mortgage rates going up and down. Because when we preview this later with the Redfin survey, there's a lot of people kicking ass this year that are following those two strategies.
Yeah, I think my tag on will be one of my favorite quotes. I keep it bookmarked on my phone for whenever I have a down moment, is from Barbara Corcoran. And she did an interview back in 2017. And in this interview, they ask her what the biggest difference is between her agents at the Corcoran Group that are earning $40,000 a year versus the agents that are, earning $10 million a year. And her line is that the ones at the top that are outperforming, they take the hits and they get back up the fastest.
Boom.
Where they just kind of take it, they feel it, but then it's like next and they move on, right? And I think the other thing that's super important to understand, and you said it without saying it, and I say it to my guys all the time, is we don't sell houses. We can't control whether somebody buys the house or, whatever, whether we're on the buy side or the sell side. What we sell is the experience of what it's like to buy that house with us, right? And part of that experience is that empathy. And part of that experience is following the process and not rushing it. And it can get so easily lost, especially when you see it the most when an agent needs a check, right? Like when they are at that kind of low point and they just feel like they need a win, but the win that they're looking for is the financial without celebrating the small wins that are going to lead up to the financial.
It's hard to take the hit that Barbara's talking about and get right back up if and everybody knows somebody in their office that does this, spends 3 hours complaining to everybody they see that tariffs are hurting their stock portfolio, or getting on a political rant on Facebook about it or whatever. And by the way, I mean, like the stock boys, the little stock boys, they've been winning for years now. Like, why can't real estate have a little time in the sun? Real estate's been in a recession for 2.5 years. The 10-year driving down to 3.9 and driving the rate at least a weekend here of shopping season in the spring. This is good for home buyers. It's going to be good for agents. And if you just think about, don't get caught up in like, oh my God, this is going to change everything forever and the whole world's coming to an end. Like, yes, some prices are going to rise, others aren't. Okay. Like certain prices on certain things are going to rise, other things aren't. Businesses are going to adapt. Businesses will undoubtedly adapt. So they already are adapting. You're seeing jobs come back into America. That's, part of that plan, whether you think it's going to work out long-term or not. These things are already working themselves out. We're going to see. Nobody really knows the implications long term. We do know the end of this year, there's $9 trillion of debt that needs to be refinanced. It's the only thing that I would disagree with Logan Mohtashami on, which I can't believe I'm saying those words, that I would disagree with Logan. I love everything every angle he has, the way he delivers it. He's the best. He's great. But to say that the U.S. doesn't care about what rate he didn't really say that, but he says he doesn't think that they're trying to drive down rates because of the $9 trillion that is coming due at the end of the year. Oh, I think that is a big deal in terms of refinance, because you can't, as a administration, you can't spend money on other things that you want to accomplish that you campaigned on if all your money's going to interest payments. So if you have lower interest payments on the $9 trillion that's going to be refinanced in our debt at the end of the year, you've got more money to spend on the other things that you want to spend on. So I do think that that's one, and then I agree with him on his takeaway on this is that, and listen, you don't need to listen to Logan or anybody talk about this. You just got to listen to the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, who says we are watching the 10-year every single day. They want lower rates for American citizens. Those lower rates in housing lead to more transactions moving up. Transactions moving up lead to loan officers on Main Street doing deals, inspectors, appraisers, handymen, cleaning companies. All of these sectors of Main Street, local people in your community get more jobs when there's more transactions. And so the administration clearly is looking for that win while they're taking the L in the stock market right now. Stock market is still up over 100% in the last 5 years, S&P 500, by the way. So, people act like the world has come to an end. Your S&P 500 is up over 100% on the last 5 years. This isn't financial advice, but, my financial planner on my portfolio with him, he bought yesterday. He's buying today. My little Fidelity account that I play with, I'm buying stuff. I mean, I'm throwing darts. I hope my financial planner is not throwing darts. It sounds like he is with the text he sent me. I think he's a little gun shy. But
what was the text? Can you read the? Do you feel comfortable
I'll tell
reading
you.
the text?
Listen,
I want to hear
this
this.
And listen, if my
he probably already knows this from working with you, Byron. So I mean, I wouldn't. You're not going to offend him.
If he's listening to this, he's gonna be mad. But he's like, because I know he's been going cash. He's been doing the smart move as the market has been going down. He's been sticking more of the portfolio over to cash in anticipation of this pullback. Very smart move. And so, to be fair, I didn't expect the depth and breadth of this, meaning this drop of, in the market when he started hoarding the cash, but it seems to have obviously worked out. That being said, he said, anything you've been keeping your eye on, you want me to consider? Me? No, there's nothing. I mean, there's things I'm keeping my eye on, sure, but I'm buying them in my Fidelity account. This portfolio is for you to just go make some moves. Don't even tell me about them. Like, that would be something I think as an agent, like, hey, I think we get caught up on that as an agent a lot of times, where we go to our client that you have, or a buyer who maybe hasn't been looking in 4 months. Now, all of a sudden the rates are in the mid sixes or low sixes. I know a lender that just got somebody approved that we work with this week at 5.875.
Wow.
There's some really good, rates happening out there. So maybe you've got somebody that's in your pipeline in your CRM that hasn't been out there shopping for 4 months. Now we're at a 4-6 month low on rates, and you reach out with, hey, is there, rates are right where we need them to be. Is there anything you're considering right now? It's like, how about bring a few options to the table? Hey, I think Amazon might be a buy right now. I said, I bought Tesla 2 weeks ago at 225. It's 275 now. Where the hell were you? You should have been buying that 2 weeks ago. Okay. That was a pretty good dart I threw, but you got to bring options to the table as the professional. And then you can hey, I brought these 2 properties. Is there another one that you're thinking about? Right. So
I agree with that. Yeah. And I mean, you're not doing your job right now if you're an agent and not telling people about this rate drop. You would be shocked how many home buyers have no idea that rates come down. They don't pay attention, right? I mean, Byron's in it, but I don't know about Lisa. I don't know if you're texting your financial advisor right now. Are you? Is that you? Are you and Steve handling this?
Steve handles that.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah. So that's a great example, right? Like you're in the know, but you're not doing it. I mean,
correct.
And what are you? Are you a misogynistic pig, Tom? Steve just handles the money. You can't handle.
So I've been to Lisa's office where I don't know if you remember. You weren't there. You couldn't make it because of the hurricane. Steve said, "Here's your new credit card, honey," from her Amex card, and handed her like all this stuff. And I'm like, he's clearly managing the money. So these are observations, Byron.
You don't think Lisa knows how to handle money? She's the Excel spreadsheet wizard over here. I mean,
Don't put words in my mouth because you accused her of not liking sports. I've been to a Red Sox game with her. She bought a jersey at the game. She knew all the players.
She bought a jersey. Oh, big deal.
Trevor Story. I don't follow American League Baseball, so anyway.
All right.
All right. So I think we hit on the tariffs here. Let's talk about this Rocket acquisition. I know our friend over at Resi Club, Lance Lambert, he called Rocket. They're building a juggernaut in the real estate industry. They bought Mr. Cooper for a $9.4 billion deal, made the Redfin acquisition look like chicken salad at a gas station. And I think it's a smart move for Rocket to acquire all this. Mr. Cooper's one of the biggest servicers out there. Matt Ishbia, the CEO of United Wholesale Mortgage, he came out and said, the truth is it's fantastic, but sometimes if you think someone is someone, you don't really know, and then you see who they really are, and it's very clear. He said this is not good for brokers. And he went on to say, you can't work with Rocket knowing what they're doing. This is not for brokers. And he said that they bought a real estate business because real estate agents won't work with them, which I agree with. They do have a bad reputation. I mean, I love these comments. I love people that actually take a stand on something here. And, I'm curious what your reaction is. I mean, obviously, they're a direct competitor with them, so I can understand why he's coming out hot like this. Maybe he's just mad the Suns suck. I don't know.
And they're going to have to trade Durant. Lisa wouldn't know that, though. But go ahead, Lisa.
I know
Durant will just be
about
moving to
sports.
another team like he normally does. So.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
the
yeah.
not the Celtics, Lisa. So
Yeah.
Well, Celtics are doing well. The Bruins, however, have you guys followed the Bruins? Oh my goodness, 10 losses in a row. I think like the record is 11 and we're one away from that. It's heartbreaking.
I only watch American sports.
Yeah. I treat hockey like church. I show up when it counts. Christmas and Easter and the playoffs.
No, I love hockey. Actually, Sharon would be pissed that I said that. He's a big hockey fan.
Huge Anaheim Ducks fan. I mean, I think he's the only one.
He's gonna buy the Ducks one day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Who buys a franchise first? Does Gary V get the Jets or does Sharon buy the Ducks?
I think Sharon buys the Ducks.
I think the Ducks are much more affordable than an NFL franchise. I agree. That's a better acquisition.
The Jets are for sale. All right, Lisa, go ahead. We're sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, clearly the point out is the refi business, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, you have to understand what's shaking out. It's not just, it's like every facet of mortgage is shaking out on there with the capture rate, the capture on the buy side by getting real estate agents to buy in. And then if you look at like the refi side of it, I think the stats that they gave in that article were like crazy. Hang on, let me see if I can find
Oh,
it.
a Rocket's you mean from Rocket stats?
The Mr. Cooper. What?
Oh, Mr. Cooper refi.
I don't think it was this article. I think it was a different one. And they were talking about the value of what's sitting in Mr. Cooper that could hit for refis in a very short period.
They have a recapture rate of 50%.
And Rocket is a refi machine. So
that's it, exactly.
The Mr. Cooper Rocket.
And the industry average is 28%. So they're almost double that.
Yeah,
so I think that's just to give some perspective. Go ahead, Byron.
The Mr. Cooper Rocket marriage partnership makes a lot of sense, obviously. And you heard Ishbia lash out on the Mr. Cooper acquisition, didn't say anything. You know, he's talking about the Redfin acquisition as part of it all now, but he is, you know, he's got comments, which I agree with most of his comments, obviously. He's got comments now because this is a threat to UWM,
yes,
which has taken over the number one seat from Rocket. UWM is a monster. This Mr. Cooper acquisition. Well, here's the other thing. UWM uses Mr. Cooper. So interesting. Now he's like, we're not using Mr. Cooper anymore. And they're going to take a lot of business away from Mr. Cooper, from what I understand. And that's all going to happen before the deal closes. So, is Rocket going to kind of try to renegotiate that deal? I'm sure Mr. Cooper knows that obviously they know, if I know that is coming. But he didn't really, have strong opinions after Redfin because what did you call Redfin? Chicken salad on the side
gas station.
At a gas station. So, but he doesn't consider Mr. Cooper chicken salad. This is more a nice steak at a restaurant Lisa would never take me to in Boston.
At Whiskey Cake with Tim down in San Antonio.
I took you to nice restaurants.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, Lisa has she knows the nice places.
I mean, we're just continuing beating
I don't like
Lisa
the chains.
Here.
I know. Just keep going. I do small little local places. Small business supports small business.
Now, Lisa picks very good restaurants. Tim Macy, on the other hand, is
Whiskey Cake.
He does not pick
the name should have just tipped us off, Byron. That was horrible.
Yeah, Whiskey Cake and some
San Antonio.
Terrible. And he knew San Antonio. That's why we went.
He's
with him.
from there.
Yeah, couldn't pick it.
Oh, well.
All right, so I like Ishbia's comments. I don't know what else there is to say.
I like that he's taking a stand. I mean, I think so many people are playing it down the middle right now, and obviously this is his company, and he's got to be aware of it. I like what he's saying. I think it's good. I think his assessment of Rocket is very fair, and I still think Redfin got sold for parts. By the way, I don't think they're going to be around that long. I mean, I think it's kind of a masking, but despite what Glenn Kelman said,
Greg Schwartz told us that on the pod that. At the end of the day, basically, that's going to be a parts company, even though they're not really saying that right now. I'd ask everybody to ask your lender partner if they get supplied from UWM. And, you may not know how many of your lender partners actually work with UWM or are UWM lenders. They are a machine and you may start looking at that company and saying, wow, I like my lender partner. I like UWM. I like Ishbia. UWM has not tried to get into the brokerage business.
Mm-hmm.
They're number one without doing it. So I'm a fan of Ishbia. Love the comments. This is a big boy battle. You know, he's making comments like he's an Andy Florence type player, and he is. He's a player, right? And this is a big boy and girl battle. Sorry, Lisa.
And Lisa's gonna.
I was just waiting for it. I was
Lisa,
going to let you do it like 2 more times, and then I was just going to speak.
I saw Tom's face when I said that. Jeez, we're on a roll here.
Lisa, it's been nice having you on the pod. I think it's our swan song here. It's been great. What I will say about Ishbia's comments, we had this come up.
This is a big player battle that's brewing up in all industries.
He is right about Rocket. We had this happen this week with a transaction, and the buyer decided to go with another broker who could get him a little bit of a lower rate, and they found out it was a Rocket product. The seller threw a fit and said, I don't want to work this national, and they wanted to terminate the agreement, which they can't do. That's not the point. But that's the opinion of a consumer making a decision to sell their house. They don't want to deal with Rocket. So he's absolutely right here. I hear that more often than not from agents. This is all very fair. So we'll see what happens here. If you were going to bet on somebody to win, right? So if you were going to put a money line on this Byron and Lisa, I know Lisa's a big gambler. I've seen her DraftKings account. It's stocked full of cash. Who would be the favorite, UWM or Rocket? Who do you think wins here?
I mean, UWM's winning right now by 30 billion or so. On
I would put a heavy money
billion.
line bet on UWM. I agree.
Yeah, well, because they've played the local game. You know, that's why I ask agents to ask their lender, hey, are you UWM? You know, they might have a name like Massachusetts Loans, or, you know, there's a company, just any name, right? It just might be any generic name. And you're like, oh, they're just a local, loan broker, and they're probably working UWM. And so they've played that local game, and they're not toxic. You know, Redfin, Rocket,
bad reputation.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right,
Lisa, thoughts on that one?
Same. No further comments.
She's planning her exit interview with BAM right now after this podcast, Byron. So,
but she's
all right.
I'm going to ask for Haley though instead of anybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, she's probably. I've seen Haley on her phone. She's probably texting Haley right now, making her a job offer or something.
Next thing you know, Haley's going to be popping up in the background. I just set up Lisa's camera, guys. It looks great.
Yeah.
I can hear Haley laughing, actually.
Yeah, they're going to start their own pod. Knowledge.
I'm on Lisa's side.
Yeah, of course she is.
All right. So we got this. Speaking of Lisa,
knowledgeable women's podcast or something like that.
All right, enough of that.
That'd be good. Haley says.
Lisa sent this survey over to us this morning. I love this survey. I think it's very fascinating here. It comes from Redfin. It was published on April 2nd, and it's basically their industry survey about adapting to change. They talk about agent performance. In a slow market, agents are actually closing more deals and earning more money. 3 out of 5 agents earned more than $50,000 in 2024, up from 49% in 2023. That's 58%. They do a lot of comparison here. There's also a lot of, I think, a lot of mindset issues. Lisa, you sent the survey over. Tell us your takeaways, and let's talk about this, because you got to have a strong mindset in a market like this. And we know a lot of this business is up here, not necessarily in the day-to-day. Most people know what to do. They're just not doing it.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff that I really liked is, I think, over the past year or so, we've talked about the number of new agents entering the industry. And so one of the stats that they shared was that in 2021, 28% of the agents in the industry had less than 3 years of experience. But at the end of 2024, that number dropped to 17%. So it's really kind of fascinating to look at how entering the industry has slowed over time. Some of the other stuff, they actually did a poll asking how many agents were working other jobs. And they broke it out. They got super fun and broke it out across income ranges. Overall, across all income ranges, 35.4% of agents have a second job. And it was funny to see where that line kind of went, because 12.9% of agents who earn more than $100,000 a year still work a second job. I find that fascinating.
That right? Number is surprising. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of expect it when they're earning up to $50,000. And that number was high, 54.8%. So more than half of the agents that are earning less than $50,000 work another job. And it's so funny, right? Because I think one of the things that we always talk about is it the chicken or the egg, right? Like, you're never going to be able to get ahead in real estate if you're afraid to go all in. And it's just this fascinating dynamic, partly in, large part due to the fact that it's commission only. There were some stats about things that agents are looking for in new offices as they think about changing brands or whatever. And it's kind of funny because the stuff that like we see a lot of the bigger brokerages recruiting off, stock options, profit sharing, those were actually the lowest ranked things for agents.
Yep.
Super funny.
Well, it makes sense to me because as loud as those organizations are on profit sharing and stock options, they still, you're sitting at, less than 10% of just NAR, let alone all agents when you combine all those numbers. So of agents. So clearly, profit sharing, it's only about 9% of the agents in those companies can actually profit share. And
Right.
a lot of people get into the business not to attract or recruit. They get into the business to build a real estate business. So I'm actually not surprised by that, but I understand what you're saying because it's so loud when
Right.
those people that get hooked on that part of it, and there's a lot of people very successful on it.
Yes.
It becomes very loud, and then people start to look at that with FOMO, don't realize that whether it's an EXP or real, it's less than 10% of the agents, 10 to 11%. I think it got as high as 11% one year, actually collect revenue share. I'd imagine now with agent growth, it's less than 10%. Not many agents do. So.
Yeah, I think just, one of the things that like from, my perspective, and I know we talk to agents on this podcast, but I know that we've also got team leaders and broker owners and office managers who watch and listen to this. And it's always fascinating as you start to kind of align with your market, the message that you're going to put out in market for why an agent should join you, right? And I get calls all the time about recruiting because it's one of the things that I love and I'm passionate about. And I know that was really kind of what brought the three of us.
You're also very good at it. Like Lisa's probably one of the best recruiters I've seen in ever, like hands down. We'll give you a backhanded, or actually just a front-handed comment. A backhanded one would be something negative afterwards. I don't have anything negative to say.
Stop trying to make up for.
I'm not the one who started this, pal.
But my point with that is like, it's really like, if you are in any of those roles, I would be looking at this and looking at a straight poll for what agents are telling us are important, right? We talk about it. How many times have we sat in a mastermind in those small rooms and we talk about like, how do you develop your message for marketing to sellers? How do you, understand what sellers are wanting so that you build your message? And this is really important. If you're recruiting, look at the stuff that's important. That's my soapbox on that front of it.
There was one piece of data that jumped out at me, Lisa, to follow that up. They asked, it was just a simple question. What would you prefer your brokerage do? 45.2% said invest in more tech training and marketing, even if it makes my commission split and or desk fees slightly worse. And then you've got 54.8 that said invest in less if it makes them better, right? So
yep.
What's clear to me there, and Andrew Undrum, who came on the show a couple weeks ago, said this, that like there's going to be some people, they want to be in a spot where they're just in like an oasis of opportunities. They see what's going on. They have opportunities to close. They want the resources. They want people guiding them and actually really mentoring them, because training in real estate sucks for the most part. And then there's the other half that don't. So if you're trying to recruit, like you're talking about, and this is the same thing agents do when it looks at like seller attraction. They focus on like commission and price, or compensation and price, rather than what they actually care about. So I'd be leaning into what kind of training opportunities, how are we helping you get better? What tools do we have that you don't have to pay for? Because if you don't have a CRM from your company, you don't have a CRM, you got to buy your own anyway. And what kind of opportunities are you getting? That's what's going to resonate with a lot of folks. And there's going to be some people that like that and some people that don't. And you got to focus on the people that like what you're doing rather than trying to slam like a square peg in a round hole.
Agree 100%. It's like, every brokerage has a niche, right? Whether they want to admit it or not, like the way that you set agents up for success is to recruit to your niche, right? Like we know, and I might get some hate for this, but Keller Williams promotes all the time that they've got great training and they're phenomenal for new agents. I couldn't disagree more. They are the worst place for new agents to go.
I love you, Keller Williams agents. I love Gary
I love
Keller.
recruiting you to
Keller
my team and
Williams.
helping you actually have a career, because we've got a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of Keller
I
Williams
mean-
agents that have been successful with us.
Agents, past clients don't exist. Unless, of course, you're retiring in 2025, then consider your clients in the past. But if you're building a business for the future, your clients are your clients. This is where Mosaic comes in, the client experience operating platform for you to manage the client experience. See, cupcakes are cute. It's a nice thing to do, but it won't keep a client tied to you for life. It's not going to bring the value to their home living, home ownership experience for years to come. CRMs work for lead generation, lead capture, and lead communication, while Mosaic helps you transform how you manage those relationships moving forward with the value that they actually need in their home ownership lifespan. So don't wait, check out mosaic.io or find the link down below.
But right, because Keller Williams is great. Like I think about like when I transitioned to Keller Williams, I spent some time there. They were great at teaching me how to build a team, but they were not great at giving me the foundation to really start to understand how to generate transactions, right? And every brokerage has a niche. Like I can't help somebody. Here's the God's honest truth. If you're selling 20 homes a year, I can't help you. Like I'm not going to make your life better. I'm not going to help you sell more, earn more. Like it's not really what I cater to. But if you want to get from being brand new in the industry or selling 5 or 10 homes a year, I can help you get up from there, right? And whatever, own your niche.
Yeah,
agree.
I like that. I like what you just said, because a lot of brokers, managers, whatever you want to say, in your market, in the offices that are in your market, you'll see a lot of people that are recruiting say that they can be everything to everybody.
Mhm.
And Lisa just clearly defined how she can help somebody in their career, in their agent journey. And that's pretty refreshing, because I don't see a lot of managers or brokers saying that. So I'm not surprised that this agent morale has dropped 5% since last year. We've been in a real estate recession the last 2.5 years. That I put that Steve Jobs quote on my Instagram story a couple weeks ago, where, talks about, some years you win and some years you build character, type of thing. Like these have been character building years. And I said, I reposted it and put, this is real estate 2023 through 2026. Like, even though we're getting some tailwind, we're getting the lower rates and all of that, like I still see some bumps ahead as we come out of this real estate recession. It's just a grind right now. And real estate agents' morale dropping on this Redfin survey is disappointing to me. I don't know, Haley, if you can put my recent tweet up on X. It's disappointing to me, because I think agents come into this business with a misconception.
Yep.
Almost every agent you talk to that comes in, you guys talk to a lot of agents that are first coming into the business or are fairly new and are, coming into your organization. And when you ask them why they got into the business, one of the common answers is flexibility of schedule. They really desire that flexibility of schedule.
You mean working 7 days a week, that kind of flexibility, Byron?
Yeah. I mean, look at this. Put this tweet up, Haley.
I don't have Twitter.
You don't have Twitter because what are you?
I got blocked.
14 years old. What are you?
Could we?
How old are you, Haley?
I'll be 24 at the end of the month.
She'll be 24. She's not on X. So if you're looking to find
They
Gen
blocked
Zers,
me. I told you this.
They
I tried to
blocked
sign
you?
up 500 times and they won't let me sign up.
well, you're on there somehow.
500
Go to
times. I mean, that's
Go to that Naval tweet. Go to the first tweet. Click on it. This Twitter account, he's a Silicon Valley investor guy or something like that. And he has all these insights from all the businesses he's been a part of. And he just kind of shares those insights on X. When you truly work for yourself, you won't have hobbies, you won't have weekends, and you won't have vacations. but you won't have work either. I read that last part, like you won't have work either, as what everybody kind of doesn't want to be when their friends are complaining about the 9 to 5. You won't have that. You won't have that work, that job, but you're truly working your business, which means it is Jeff Bezos said this thing about work-life balance. Work-life balance doesn't exist. That's for 9 to 5ers.
No.
You work 9 to 5, and then 5 to time you go to bed is the rest. Jeff Bezos talks about work-life harmony, a circle. Like things are happening all the time. Lisa may, do something for the family in the next hour, then get right back into work over the next 5 hours, then do something like it's back and forth, it's a circle. It's always happening, right? Tom may do something this afternoon for his kids, then get right back into work, doing something this evening. That's what work-life balance is a debilitating phrase, and that work and life are actually a circle. You can search that and find that, that story that Jeff Bezos shares. And I couldn't agree with it more. And I think too many agents, their morale's down because they actually expected something different out of this business. They expected to have this, listen, this is why I think it's important to understand where your ambitions are. And if you're trying to do everything on your business by yourself, reach a certain level of business. If you're like, truly, I want to do everything by myself. I don't want to join a team, or I don't want to join a brokerage that supports me. I want to do everything by myself, and I want to have these numbers. And I don't want to do open houses on the weekends. I don't want to do, showings on the weekends. And you want to do everything yourself, and you want these certain numbers. Like, good luck with that. Maybe you're an anomaly, but I haven't seen it.
Probably not. I love the harmony concept, Byron, because one of my early coaches told me there's balance doesn't exist. It's like counterbalance, which is the same thing. Like you got to adjust to go one way. You got to adjust to go another. Every year in February, I have a little talk with my family, and I say, hey, guys, it's going to be a busy couple of months here. Looking forward to our July 4th vacation we take every year, because that's something, and you're laughing, but this is very serious. I mean, I got, my kids are older now. I have real conversations with them. I mean, I'm not,
What do you think? I have fake conversations with my kids?
Well, I know your oldest.
Or were you referring to Lisa?
Now, well, Lisa, I don't know what she's telling her kids, but talking to an 8-year-old, Byron, is different than talking to a 12-year-old that's taller than his mother. So that's what I'm saying. And it's, hey, guys, I'm going to be working, but I'm also going to be here. What you're talking about is absolutely right. Last Saturday, we had like a bunch of softball and baseball games. Get back from coaching third base at the softball game. Told those 8-year-old girls to get a little more aggressive on the base paths. They performed. We'll see how they do this weekend. And I made an hour and a half of phone calls and work, and then I got changed and did something else. Like that's real life in real estate. I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah. And it's such a great example. But when you actually have these conversations with your spouse, with your kids, the people that are affected, I'm a big believer that a supportive spouse is a critical ingredient to having a successful real estate career. That it just makes things a little easier. Was it always like that? Absolutely not. I mean, I remember when I first met my wife, I was working like 7 days a week. She's like, what the hell are you doing? And I wasn't that successful. I was cutting my teeth, and I knew what I was aiming for, but you've got to make decisions that you're building a business here from zero, right? This is everyone who gets into real estate has a startup business. And even if you're on a team or not, you can't, like Lisa can't do the work for you at her team. Byron can't do the work for you. And some of this morale is they thought it was going to be easy, or they get sold a bill of goods from these other companies. And that's why training in real estate sucks. And you've got to be very clear about what it actually takes. And this survey, I think, says a lot about it. And we've seen the number of real estate agents decline. It's the first time it happened in a long time. This is very, very real. And if you want to get better, I mean, you got to figure out how much time you can put in first and foremost. That's a key ingredient to being successful.
We've all three of us, because we talk all the time, have had some really hard, at some point in the last 3 years, we've all had some hard points in our business.
Very hard.
And if you haven't done it already for your business, if you're listening and you haven't done it already, there's a reset of expectations that everybody has to go through when business dynamics change. Doesn't mean that your morale goes down. It means that you reset the expectation of what you need to do to get to where you want to be. All three of us have, at one point in our business cycle, overhired and tried to take or did take ourselves out of certain components of the business.
Worst decision ever. That was horrible coaching.
Well, no, I mean, I think
for me,
not
it was.
necessarily.
For me, it was.
It's a business cycle during a season, and then you reset, you re-underwrite your business, and you decide, I'm getting back into this part of the business. I'm taking this over. Maybe it's because so-and-so who was running that division was not the right fit to run that division, or it's just part of that season. And I know this better than anybody else in the organization. And that's what the organization needs right now. And so for your own business, maybe re-underwrite it to, and that re-underwriting might look like, I need to put more time into this. My circle is going to be filled up with a little bit more of a commitment to my work. And if your expectations are set, then your morale is not going to go anywhere. Confidence is a big part of sales. You're going to have high morale, have high confidence to be successful. And that's why all the economist partisan hacks right now are looking at consumer confidence, because they want to see a confident consumer, because that tells us a lot about the future of the economy. So same thing for you.
Lisa, parting shots here, because Byron's got to go.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, one of my, the best business coaches that I've ever had over my career said to me early in our coaching relationship, Chinatti, you're going to work harder than most people will for 5 or 10 years so that you can live the way that others only wish.
Bingo.
For the rest of your years. And I live by it to this day.
And Lisa, you outwork both women and men. I want to make that clear. You are a machine, Lisa. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, when in this group chat we have, I mean, the reality is, like,
cats, dogs, Lisa, everything. You outwork them all.
Like, Lisa will be making recruiting calls on a Saturday afternoon, right? Yeah. I do that. Yeah. I mean, Byron's out there mapping out, like, this is not a Monday through Friday gig, ladies and fellas, and that's part of the thing a lot of people got to understand about real estate. And that's why the question is, how much time are you going to put in? That's why time management is so important. I mean, the agents that have nothing in their calendar, like, you're done for. Like, it's managing things and just trying to get a little better and being, having that harmony, I think, is such a great word, Byron. I love that. And obviously Jeff Bezos is a successful guy. Success leaves clues.
Yeah. All right.
Great pod. Have a safe ride back to Florida.
Thank you so much for checking out this week's Knowledge Brokers podcast. If you want to take what we're doing here at BAM and use it in your own business, join us over at School. We just switched BAMX into the #1 education and community platform. Go to school.com/BAMX or hit the link in the description, school.com/BAMX. I'll see you in the community.